where I think Israel has been limited from applying full pressure on Hamas. Strategically, no, it is not a good deal because Hamas is still in power. And as long as Hamas is in power, that means that the war continues. That means that we have a sworn enemy on the other side of the border, an enemy that wants to destroy Israel. So it's a bittersweet kind of deal. We'll hope that this is not the end of it and look forward to really achieving what Israel needs to do.
Who are you holding responsible for that, feeling that Israel has not been able to exact maximum pressure on Hamas?
We're 15 months into a war that Israel didn't start and didn't want and wasn't really prepared for, and we still haven't defeated Hamas, and we have not yet achieved our strategic goals, and we have not yet secured our southern border. And that's a problem. And the reason we haven't done so is because we have stopped short of applying all the levels of leverage over our enemy, and yes, including humanitarian aid. In war, you need to use the tools that you have available in order to force your enemy to stop fighting, to break the enemy's will to fight. And there's different ways to do that. Israel has been forced to use less than the capacity that it should be using, and that is why this war has dragged on, much to the detriment of Israeli civilians and also Palestinian civilians who are suffering longer and worse than what they should have been suffering had Israel been able to really conduct decisive warfare against Hamas.
Just to be clear, Jonathan, so you're saying that Israel should have been able, I just want to be clear about what you're saying here, that Israel should have been able to use better as a lever humanitarian aid for as a mechanism for meeting its objectives?
Yeah, I'll explain why. You know, this deal, as you said correctly, was on the table and was presented mid and late May by the Biden administration. There was a lot of pressure on Israel to agree to it, and there was pressure on Israel also to allow the provision of fuel and food and other supplies into the Gaza Strip, which we understood was a breaking point for Hamas. Now,
but explain that. But Jonathan, you also understand that that's looked at internationally as collective punishment, which is illegal by international standards. So, I mean, speak to that, because there are people who will zero in on what you're saying, especially as a former IDF spokesperson, and will say that there are problems with that.
I'm sure that people have lots of problems with Israel fighting and defending itself.
That's not what I'm talking, Jonathan. Jonathan, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,